Hello everyone, welcome again to this LWC learning series. In our last video we have seen how to set up and install VS Code and Salesforce CLI and how to authorize your org with VS Code. In this video we are going to cover how to create your first Lightning Web component. Okay, so we are now seeing the demo of how to create the first LWC component. So in our last video we had connected our org with our developer edition org. In this video we are going to see some of the folders here which we have when we created the project. We have in this folder you have all the classes and all the LWC that you have in our system, but currently it does not have any data. You have just authorized your org with the Salesforce, but to fetch all the metadata of Salesforce you have to first retrieve it into LWC. So since we have created the project having the manifest file, so you can see the package.xml and it has some of the metadata already written here, like this apex class, apex component, these are all metadata, right? So you don't have to change anything. We are just seeing how to fetch data from Salesforce into our VS Code. Okay, so it has some triggers added here, some apex class added here, but there are many things which are not added, like you can retrieve it if it is needed for you, if you want to modify that metadata, but in other cases you don't need it. So let's retrieve these metadata which we already have here. So you just have to click here and then you have to go to this retrieve source in manifest. Okay, so let's see how many metadata and classes we already have in the system, right? Okay, so we have retrieved something. Let's see, on the classes we have one class here. If I check the LWC, we don't have any LWC component currently in our developer edition org, right? So we are going to create it. For creating the Lightning Web component, you have to click on Control-Shift-P and then you have to type. You can see create apex class is already there, authorize org is already there. You have to type create and you can see create Lightning Web component. So you have to click on it. You have to give the name of the Lightning Web component. So whenever you are giving the name of the LWC component, you have to give it in the camel case. What is a camel case? You have to start with the small letter. Let's say we are creating a component named as Hello Universe, right? So we have to give the name as hello as a small, and the other word will start with the capital letter, right? Universe. So this is the way of creating the LWC component. You always have to write in camel case whenever you are creating any LWC component. However, that is not necessary in case of apex class. Okay, you have to click on the default one. I want to store that LWC into the default folder that we have here. Okay, so it has created a LWC component. So whenever you create any LWC component, you can see three files here, right? This is the first file, which is the HTML, which will be the front end. Whatever you are adding here will be displayed finally in your Salesforce org. Then we have the JS file, which is kind of backend from where you can fetch, you can send data to HTML so that the user will finally able to view all those things in the web page. And then we have the meta.xml file. So this will tell like which all places you want this LWC component to be exposed. You want to show this in home page, or if you want to show it in app page or a record page, right? So we'll see how to make changes over here, but first let's go ahead and deploy our first component that we have created. For deploying it, so let's say let's type it any random thing for now, so that we can see that in the in our web page. You have to save it, and for deploying it into your Salesforce org, you have to right click here. You have to click on this send this source to org. So when you deploy the LWC component to the org, it will deploy all the files within this LWC component, right? Which is the Hello Universe. We have the test, HTML file, JS file, meta file, these all will be deployed together. If there is some other component also here, currently there is none, but let's say if there is another component here, those will not be deployed. Only the one in which you have right clicked and deployed, all those files will be deployed for that particular component. Okay, so let's create a new app page, and there we can add our newly created LWC component. Let's go to setup. You don't need to create this app page if you want to add your component at some different places, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm creating a new application page where I'll add all the LWC component. Let's click on app, name it LWC learnings. Click on save, activate. Lightning experience, add page to application. Okay, I have added this into our sales application. Okay, so now here you need to add your component in this application page, whatever component you have created in LWC, but you cannot find that component right now because the exposed is false. You need to make it true in order to expose it into the Salesforce. And now you need to set some targets, right? What are these targets? These are places where you want this component to be visible, right? So in our case, we want it to be added in the application page, right? So we need to write lightning __ app page. If you want to add this LWC component in your home page, you have to write lightning __ home page. If you want to add it inside the record page, you need to write lightning __ record page. So these are some of the options. So in our case, we just need this one, but for your reference, we can add multiples as well here. So it basically depends in which place you want to add these things, and let's deploy it. Okay, now if you refresh the page, and you can able to see the component right now in this app page. So let's search for our component, which is hello universe. You can see this component here now. You can drag it to the application page, click on save, and now go back. Let's go back to our sales application. Okay, so now you can see the component which we have created inside this application page, and we have successfully added our LWC component here, right, in Salesforce. So we had done a couple of things. We have created the HTML. We don't have anything yet on the JavaScript, and on the meta file we have exposed it to these locations, right, the application page, record page, home page. So let's move ahead in the demo. Okay, so data binding in Lightning web component. And before going ahead, let's go back to Salesforce again, and here you can see this does not looks good, right? It does not have any background or anything. So what I'll do is, we have something called Salesforce component library, right? So if you go to component library, you can see a bunch of different tags, HTML tags, or the Lightning based components, which you can directly use in the HTML file, right? So let's search for Lightning card here. If you go to Lightning card, you can see what it is used for and what is the tag for it. So you can directly copy it from here. And I would always say that you don't feel shame in copying code, because it makes things very much easier. You just need to know how you have to use it, right? So these tags, you can explore some other tags as well. You have this example here, of every tag whatever you select. So you can explore all these things here. You can simply type Salesforce component library in Google and you can land on this page, right? So let's copy this lightning card from here and paste it in our LWC so that it will look a little better than what we have. Okay, paste I'm pasting this hello world inside this lightning card, and let's deploy it. Let's see what all changes it will make on the page. Okay, so you cannot see directly the changes applied. It is because everything is stored in the cache. You need to hard reset, but I have seen like sometimes even hard reset does not make the current changes. So what you have to do, you need to go to setup, and you have to go to session settings. So whenever you are learning LWC, just make sure you have this checkbox as unchecked. If you scroll up here, and you can see this checkbox is checked, right? Enable secure and persistent browser caching to improve performance. So our changes does not directly reflect here if this is checked, right? So you need to make sure it is unchecked, so that whenever you refresh the page, it will give you the fresh data which you have deployed, right? So I saved it now, and now when I refresh, I'll see the card here, right? Okay, you can see the card here. It does not look too good, but it is okay for now. Or you can add some paddings or margins here. If you see, there are a bunch of examples here, right? This one, small card body. So let's copy this one as well, so that we're making it a little more better than the crap that we have. Okay, so it is now little more better. You can also remove this title because we don't need it. And okay, so let's move ahead in the presentation. So let's talk about data binding in LWC. So in simple language, it is the process of connecting component properties to HTML templates, enabling dynamic updates. So whatever you see on the HTML, data has to be there, right? Someone sent that data to HTML. So if you see whatever you see on the page, these are the HTML. Let's say this is only for example, this is a LWC component, right? So from where these data, whatever we have visible on the screen, is coming, right? So it is all coming from JavaScript, right? So JavaScript is sending data into our HTML. So this is known as binding basically. So in LWC there are two types of binding, right? So the first one is one-way data binding, the other one is two-way data binding. So for the first way data binding, data only flows from JS to HTML. So this is like the one way of data binding. In the other way of data binding, we have the data going from HTML to JavaScript as well as JavaScript to HTML. So in LWC does not support automatic two-way binding, but like Aura, but however you can achieve it with by using the event listeners, right? So we are going to see the example of both of them, and trust me, these all are very easy. So first, going to the one way of data binding is, so let's go back into our Salesforce, into our VS Code. Okay, so currently in this case we have written the value over here, right? But now we are not writing directly here, but I'm adding a property here, right? So let's give it a username. I'll tell you what username means here. Okay, go to your JS file, and here we need to define our property. So the property is username, and we are passing this username value in from the JavaScript, right? So we need to define this username, which would have been the same name which we have used here, right? We need to use the same name here, right? And give it a name of, let's say, Aman. Okay, so we have given username as Aman here, and we are passing this to our HTML component. So the way to write the properties in HTML is we need to enclose it inside the curly braces, and then we have to use the property name here, right? So this is one-way binding, because we are sending data from JavaScript to the HTML element, right? And we are not sending it back. So let's deploy it and see it on the web page. Okay, so you can see hello Aman is coming. This Aman is coming from JavaScript, right? It is not written on the HTML, it is coming from the JavaScript. So this is the one-way binding which we have discussed, and the other one is the two-way binding, in which we can send data to HTML, and from HTML, with the help of handlers, we can listen the event and then get data from HTML. So let's see that demo as well. So for two-way binding, we need to add one more element here. So let's add lightning input. Okay, so in the lightning input, we can give it a name. So before making any code, let's go back to the diagram once. So it is always a best practice, like whatever you are building, first build in the diagram. First build the diagram of whatever UI you want to develop, and this will help you a lot. I can tell you with my experience that I have seen some of the people directly jumping into the code, and they think like the diagram is all on the mind and they can develop it, but it will be a hell lot of trouble, and you need to revise your code again and again. So I would say make a diagram of whatever code you are going to make, and then make based on it, right? After watching the diagram, so you can know like how many components we need to use, how many div tags we need to use, and the placement and all. This would be super helpful. So what we are going to build is, we have a name here and we'll have an input box here. So whatever value we are typing it on the input box, it should dynamically display over the top as well. So this is something I want to build in the LWC code. So now go back here. So that's why I'm adding lightning input tag here, right? I'll give it a label as enter name, and value attribute would be username, because I want the username to be displayed here. And on change handler, we need to add on change handler. So this will call handle change method. So I'll tell you what all these means. So the first thing is, we have given the input label. I'll save it and deploy it. If I refresh the page, okay, you can see hello Aman. This is coming from the JavaScript file, right? And you can see on the inter name, this is the label which we have in the lightning input. You can see the label, it is coming, and this value is also the username. So username is coming from JavaScript and it has the value Aman. So that's why it has a default value of Aman. And this on change handler, what it will do is, whenever we change any value, it will fire an event, right? And we are using event listener here, so to listen that event, right? So currently we are not listening this event, this handle change. We are not listening. This handle change is a method which we need to write on the JavaScript side, right? We have not yet written it, so it is not doing anything whenever the value changes. So what will happen? So suppose if you want, if you type another letter, right? So it is throwing an error because we are not handling the event, right? So if I remove this one on change, if I remove it, it won't throw error, but you'll understand what it will do when we change the letters. Okay, now if I refresh the page, okay, so now what do you think if I change the name? What do you think this top value will go? Will it also change, or will it remain as it is, right? So I'll not tell you to write it on the comment section because no one does that. So I'll change the name to, let's say, XYZ, but it is not displaying here. Why it is not displaying here? Because we are not handling the change, right? It will always show the constant value, which is the username. We are not handling it. It will by default show the username we have sent from the JavaScript, but when we change the value, we are not handling it. That's why the top value is not getting changed. But how to handle the change? So for that we have to write the on change attribute, and we have to give the method name handle change. So this method name we have to define in our JavaScript as well. Let's save it. For defining the method, you have to write the method name, and you have to type in event because we would be listening the event. Okay, so we are getting the suggestion, but I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to write this dot username and then event dot target dot value. Okay, so what this is doing is we are changing this username property. So if you want to refer the property inside method, you need to write this dot the property name, right? So whenever the value of the event changes, let's say previously it is XYZ, and now it is changed to ABC, right? So whenever this change happen, this JavaScript is listening that change. So now the current value is ABC, and this will get stored in the username property which we have, and this username is we have added into the first name here, right? So hello username will also get changed whenever the value of the input box changes, right? So let's see the demo of it. I have deployed the changes. Let's refresh the page. Okay, so previously when I am changing the value, it was not changing at the top here, but this time this is remember, this is username property, but this time if I change the value, the first name here is also getting changed. Why? Because when we change the value here, it is firing an event because of handle change at on change attribute, and this event is being listened here, right, which is changing the username as well. So by default Aman was the username, but now it is changed to Aman and extra E got added. So that change is now reflecting here, right? So this is all is happening in behind the scene. So you can take your time, you can look at these again and again in order to have a better grasp of it and understand what is being happening here, right? And I will add all these code in the description, so you can go ahead and check the code if needed. You can take reference of it. Okay, so this is it about this video. I hope you really like it, and I would able to make you understand what this all means. And for the future videos, please do subscribe to our channel, and have a good day. Bye.